so good. Beep the rhythm, I bring my G for them. Yeah, like bring that rhythm, them hips they sway.
You see what you've done?
You see now.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And you thought it wasn't gonna do that.
You know, but yeah, man, Mukino man, Towdeemac, we are out here. Podcast. It's episode 12.
Oh, blessed.
We're moving, man. You
Blessed.
know,
Episode 12, 1 plus 2 is 3.
I understand.
Strength.
Robararo ka
Yeah.
re na le ghost lady wa rona mixture. Mr. Mix. Ke go tsenya mo dilong ka nkane.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Wow, episode 12. Blessed. I'm blessed.
Now we out here, man. Thanks for joining us, bro.
I'm blessed, man. It's an honor.
Has he interview?
No.
I don't do interviews and
Yeah.
I guess this platform is about talking about hip hop, and not necessarily about the mainstream. I mean, we're in the game to an extent, you know. We've got notoriety in the mainstream, but I shouldn't be an artist and a commentator at the same time.
But an artist is a commentator, what you call lyrics.
You know what I'm saying? So this is why I started this platform, just to kind of go beyond the music and share a little bit of insights on, you know, our thought processes, and the people we work with, man, you know.
Yeah.
So, Akitsi, where you at right now with the music thing, man? Like, what's moving you? You know.
I'm back in studio.
Yeah.
I'll admit, but for crazy reasons, you know, because as you know, I create music for more than just musicians,
Sure.
you know, or for the purpose of just music. I create music for radio, I create music for television, film, etc. Right?
Okay.
And I'm always trying to find new ways to sprout music out, and just the concept of creativity behind what we do
Sure.
as musicians, as writers.
Sure.
You know, if you write lyrics, you might think that you're just a lyricist, but you're a writer.
Yeah.
And how far can you take that writing?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's just the rabbit hole I've been thrown into, and I'm enjoying it.
When you talk about being a writer and you're a producer all around. You know what I mean? You've executive produced a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I'm tapping into that bag, you know, a lot. And outside of working with Hash One, it's an interesting thing to do with other artists you're not familiar with.
Yeah, you're
because
starting to learn now.
like having to remove your personal out of a session is quite crazy, right?
Yeah. When your hopes, wishes, and dreams are for somebody else other than yourself, it's a different ball.
100%. Like last week, I was explaining to Sanji how I was coaching somebody to not necessarily catch the beat, but don't rhyme on the snare, rhyme on this, and he was as confused.
Just to move. I have a technique. Bring him to me.
Okay.
I have a technique. There's a way that I write, right? That I so if you look at if I handwrite a rhyme, you'll see that there's capital letters in weird places.
Okay.
And then there's all these underscores and there's all these numbers, right?
Okay.
It counts.
Yes.
So whenever I go to a rhyme on paper, I always know where to start.
Okay.
Because the count is there, you know.
For
every line, like the flow is mathematically worked out. And
you write that the flow down flat.
Yeah. Damn. So okay, let me make an example. So every beat is 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are underscores. But if that underscore hits while I'm rapping, whatever letter hits where there was supposed to be an underscore is a capital letter.
Okay. Oh, okay.
See?
I get it.
Yeah. So Tamika Bapaladala, the T in Tamika would be capital. the P in Bapala would be capital,
Mm-hmm.
and the La
Will be capital.
would be capital. Tameka Bapala
La,
La.
la.
Because
Yeah.
they fall on the count.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mathematics. It's mathematics.
So yeah. so flow.
I mean, we're always saying it's
flow,
maths, you know.
So I've got the so I'm actually in the process of creating an app that
dope.
assists with that. Yeah.
That's the you
Yeah,
Lupe
I'm-
Lupe fiasco.
Yeah, I'm
now,
working
shit.
with a coder.
That's dope.
Vinny from DigiSeed, that's my man's.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
my coder. Yeah.
Dope, man. I met Vinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool dude. Meth Town dude.
Very cool dude, man.
Yeah, that's my boy.
We got a little bit of a chat. I'm also working on something with Mix,
Yeah.
and I told him when I'm ready,
Yeah.
we're gonna chop it up.
Yeah.
You know what I
he's
mean?
dope.
Cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Backstage lectures, man.
Yeah.
You used to do this thing, go Kidirile in. That's the
Yeah.
first time I saw and heard of it.
Yeah.
Talk us through what was the theory behind that, right?
That one was years ago.
that's a
wasn't it?
long time ago. I was still living in Math. That's
Yo,
when
that was-
I got my that
was years
influenced
ago. That
where
might have been
2015, 14, some of that.
Yeah.
That influenced where I kind of took my creative with the music thing, like
Yeah.
informing myself.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he has a backstage lectures graduate right here.
You know what I mean?
Nasi.
Because before then, I was just thinking about rap, like it's rap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And anybody who's been listening to me before, like from before M4TLT,
Yeah.
can tell there's a huge difference between how I write, rhyme,
Yeah.
how I approach music. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
You used to go overboard too. Like,
Yeah.
You didn't care about structure.
nah,
I remember. You
At
didn't
all.
care about a 16.
At
because
all.
Sometimes it'd be a 12. Sometimes it'd be over.
it's too
You
long.
didn't care.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm saying what I gotta say.
Yeah.
You know, so going through that process altered the way I think
Yeah.
when it comes to music. And it was at a point where I just got my laptop, Logic, Kikiri, and I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
you know, and more so the information I got outside of being an artist, like how to think of music as a business,
Yeah. Yeah.
was quite critical. Like,
Yeah.
what brought on you doing that, and what did you spot in the game that was missing that you felt like it was
Hey,
important to
man.
do that?
I was teaching, and then I realized the tuition is expensive for you know what, I don't like to say the real talent is where the poverty is, but that's what you'll find,
Sure.
right? Because maybe there's not so much hope for a lot, so kids will be playing soccer since they're 2 in the streets.
Mhm.
That's how a soccer star is made, just playing soccer all day outside. Kids will be doing music and stuff, you know? So kids who have a lot of time on their hands, which are kids in these kind of places,
Sure.
will have that talent, but the parents won't have the tuition to take them to an ASE.
Sure.
Because these schools are hella expensive, you know?
Yeah.
So even if they can afford to take you to a UJ or a Damelin, they still can't take you to that school that can give you this knowledge, you know?
Word.
So after 4 years of teaching at M&D, where I learned a lot, you know, and I don't take it for granted how privileged I was to be able to work there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just God's grace over there, man. So I thought, hey, man, God's given me this knowledge and all this. Like, I walked away with all this knowledge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna die with all this
Yeah, you
knowledge,
gotta
and
just
I
keep
can't
that shit
use it
to
for
yourself.
myself. Also, I don't like the fame. You know?
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, people think I'm kidding when I say that, but my mother, at some point in her life, was a famous person, and I saw what it did to her.
Mm.
And there's a reason why she decided to just let all of that go. And you know, when other people were continuing in the media industry, she just let it all go because of what fame had done to her. You know, so as a kid, I saw the other side of fame. You know, and I just wanted to be behind the scenes because I just remember being that little kid behind the boards at BRS when people were recording and stuff like that, you know. And I was just always keen. And whenever I would have like a keyboard, I would be that kid wondering, I wonder if there's one that like I have this melody, but I want to add another melody in the background, but I want to record this and then have it play. And then I was thinking about that. I didn't think
Yeah.
there was something like that. You know,
I
as a
feel you.
kid, I was just thinking about it. So eventually, when I ran into these things, it kind of said to me, "Yo, this is where you belong." You know, this
As
is-
well.
You know, and then when it came time for tertiary, Mojo taught me something. I'm a snitch on my nigga. Mojo taught me how to steal education.
What do you mean?
So we used to go to campus because you can walk onto any campus,
Sure.
you know, and walk into any theater and sit there and be taught. You just won't be able to take the exam,
Okay.
you know. But yeah, but so I won't say which schools, but yeah, we used to go to some. A lot of people think we went to tertiary with them. I never went to tertiary, dog. But I was on campus quite a lot.
That's crazy.
You know, so my cousin Mojo and I, we used to go around. He taught me that, so I used to go around and do that quite a lot. I did it go University of Pretoria at some point. I had a I had a friend who would give me the student card,
Yeah.
and I had access. And
So you
'cause-
just walk into a lecture and just sit.
yeah, a friend was sick for like a while, you know.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, Stock, I'm gonna end up dropping out." I was like, "Can I use this?"
Damn.
Yeah. So, and then I was a sucker for libraries too. Like I knew I could tell you which places had the best libraries. I used to love the Klerksdorp Library. That place had the best library, man. The best books I ever got on music and the music business I found in the Klerksdorp Library. Funny enough, you know. So yeah, man. I was just that kid who was just obsessed with knowledge, but I didn't want it formally. Like I wasn't a fan of school, you know. I didn't want to have to impress a teacher about knowing this and knowing that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know what I wanted to know.
And then use it how you want to use
yeah.
it.
So I was that kid. I even went to music school. I went to Mabana, but I didn't finish there because as soon as I figured out what I wanted to figure out
Sure.
on the piano, I was gone.
Damn.
You know, so I was that kid, and then, but later on, I'd be surrounded right by all these guys, and I'd be the only one doing this and doing that. When Tasso's not around, you know, I'm the only one doing this and doing that. So I would teach KG. I taught KG how to make beats, like from scratch. And you know, KG made Kasiame Rofo, right? That's KG's beat.
Oh snap.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the first beats he made.
How many
after
how many
Showtime.
secret weapons does KG have actually?
Hey, KG
'Cause
plays,
I heard
plays the
KG's
guitar.
KG was playing guitar.
Yeah. When we did
You picked up your guitar and you just
Yeah. KG plays mean guitar. KG was band director on Jabba's band, right?
Yes.
Let's
That I
start
know,
there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, man. KG directs Kuli's music. That's why you
Yes.
always see him with
Yes.
Kuli on stage. So yeah, KG
And he
is a
raps
lot,
too,
man.
nah?
KG's a lot.
he raps.
And KG also musically mentored Madlera Doughboy. You know, his musical side. Like Madlera,
I heard that
when
on
Madlera met me-
Tapelo.
When I
On-
met, I was the first one to meet Madlera, right?
Sure.
And the thing about Madlera is you don't teach him nothing. He's a sponge, you know, and he's got his own path. And so when I met him, he was rapping. He was straight rapping.
Sure.
But he loved melody. And you could tell that he understood melody, he could churn it out. But when he met KG started making him realize things about his voice.
Oh snap.
And after his first session with KG, that's when he wrote Memoirs.
Oh snap.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and those nuances,
And you can hear
that's KG.
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
nuances, those long notes that drop. That's KG. You can tell that KG coached him through.
But
writing
yeah, and you
those
can
melodies.
tell like that song, man. When I heard that song, I was
I
like, bro,
ride.
I've been trying to sing for a minute. I sang in the choir
And he's regal. He's a
for
choir boy too.
yeah.
He's regal.
But that song, I was like, this is something else, and now it makes sense, right? But I heard it on King Tapelo with
Yeah.
I
With
was
KG,
like,
and you could tell
KG's
the
all over
chemistry.
up in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh damn, that's so dope. That's
Yeah.
so dope.
Yeah, man. And so it's amazing how he can create but also leave space for you to influence him,
Sure.
all at the same time. That makes for a great creative. When you are flexible, when you're pliable,
Yeah,
and you don't get stuck in your creative process, it makes you greater than even you can ever expect, because you always allow yourself to grow
to grow. Yeah,
in
yeah.
the moment. But coming back to the point, so what encouraged me to do backstage lectures
Mm.
is all these moments. All these moments where I found myself teaching a friend how to do something,
Mm.
showing somebody how to do, because I needed hands, right?
Mm.
And I'm not a selfish dude with information. I need you to know so that we can converse on the same level. So before you know it, I had a lot of dudes around me. There's a guy, Akili.
Yeah,
You know him?
yeah, I know Achilles.
Yeah, that's my dude.
I met Kuli at Achilles' studio first
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
2004,
Mwana
somewhere
Muntu.
there.
That's my nigga.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I showed him how to use Reason. And he would tell you that I'm one of those people that kind of showed him how to make beats.
Mm.
And then when he's one of those guys that made me realize, wow, this is what can happen when
You
you
put
show
somebody on.
because he shook Math Town at a
Yeah.
point. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start taking this seriously. But it was always at the back of my mind.
Sure.
And then came time, we started seeding Kuli's career.
Okay.
It was the most exciting time for me was to see Kuli go solo, because he was nervous as hell. And he didn't want to do it.
Mm.
He really didn't want to do it. We had to force him to do it. We tricked him to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story, but we
No,
tricked Kuli.
not the full story, but I've heard
But yeah,
parts
we
of it
tricked him.
before.
We were doing. So I did the hook ya futumat.
Sure.
Sure. And then KG and I prepared 3 verses, and we're like, this is a Kuli Solo joint, but how are we gonna make him do it? So we got him to come in and said, hey man, we working on something on the 3rd album,
Yeah.
So, play your verse quickly. And, this is dope. Let me play a verse. He plays a verse and he goes out with Data in there.
Sure.
Party. Then we mute the verse, put it to the side, and then we call him back, say, hey man,
Renate.
it's not cutting it. You're gonna need to do another verse. He's like, okay, let me change. Like, no, we don't want no parts of it.
Nah.
Do a whole new verse. All right, cool. Took a while doing a second verse. Kuli.
Sure.
If you've ever worked with Kuli, Kuli takes his
Takes
time.
his time, bro. Yeah.
Second verse, we got it. He tracked it. Wanted to change it here and there. Cool, changed it. Then he was happy with it. Fine. Couple of days later, we like, nah.
Let's try.
He's like, no, James. That was fire. We're like, yeah, but you can do better.
Yeah.
Okay, sharp. And he loved the challenge.
Sure.
And I think at the time he really felt like, okay, we're doing something real here. If these
If
niggas,
these niggas ain't happy with
are
verses.
doctoring something dope here. So right after he did the 3rd verse, we laid the rest of the verses out.
Sure.
The song was done. We were completing it. Then he thought it was a joke.
Sure.
He wasn't taking it seriously. You know what I did? Slicker was releasing his Sprite Rush. You remember the Sprite Rush Hour or whatever? Yeah. So Sprite was getting into hip hop, like at that time.
Yeah.
So there was this basketball tour that Sprite was doing. Slicker was doing a mixtape for that.
Mm-hmm. It's the time when they had the traveling booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So took Kuli Solo, went to Slicker, said, "Yo, dude, boom, here's Kuli's going solo. We want him on the tour, and here's the song." So he took the song and started bumping it wherever they
Sure.
went on the tour, and people started saying, "Hey, when is this nigga coming to perform?"
Sure.
So I was like, "Yo, people love it. So you need to go
You need to
perform
do
the
your
song."
thing.
And we were bumping it every day in the house.
To make sure he knows
Yeah.
it.
so KG and I kind of doctored Kuli's career into KG also kind of thought it was a joke until he realized I was serious, but here's why I did that. Whenever, while we were performing as Morafe, whenever we would leave the clubs or the parties or whatever, when we get off stage, Kuli would stay all the time. You guys were around, you remember that. Kuli would always be the one that stays. KG and I would go home and sleep. And that's why we always had extra money, and he did it.
It's a good time.
And we'd have to share, and yeah, so but that kind of said to me, yo, this guy is out there. Naturally.
He likes
It's
this
his
shit.
second nature.
Yeah.
It was a drag. KG enjoyed making music. That's why he ended up going to work with Jabba's band, because he enjoyed making music and being in the music making process, And when you're in a band, you literally making music every time you go to work, So Kuli, on the other hand, I felt like, okay, he needs to just get into the groove of your lifestyle will be your work now, because you like to be out there anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You in with the popular kids very quickly, so you'll fit.
You got to use it to your advantage now.
Yeah.
Like it's a...
And that's why when he befriended AKA, may his soul rest in peace, it just made sense, because they were the same kind of kids in their surroundings. They were those guys that attracted people, made quick friends.
Yeah.
And, if they were hanging with you, if they were hanging with those girls yesterday, tomorrow these girls are talking about them. Hey, we were hanging with, they were those guys. So imagine you had AKA, you had Kuli, you had Dede, you had Mashatz. Whew.
Yeah, that's a
right?
that's a squad.
Yeah, so before influencers were influencers, right? So I kind of saw that in the early days, and I was like, man, you need to do this thing. It's gonna be so easy for you. He didn't see it, but when he started going on that tour with Slicker, he began to see it, because he went from, he was last on the first show he performed. I think it was in Soweto somewhere. He was last on the lineup.
Yeah.
The next show was in the East Rand. I
Okay.
think it was in Tembisa. He was like, okay, somewhere in the middle, By the time this thing was going to Eastern Cape, Kuli, he was headlining. He was up there with the headliners with just before Squatter Camp and them came on,
Oh, snap.
And so that was the first sign that said, when you put something out there and you see it,
And
it was kind of like a chart,
Yeah.
So that's what kind of said, okay, Motok Originator needs to be a project. We always used to talk about it like just playing.
Yeah.
But it became a thing, man. Just like the name Khuli Chana it was part of a verse of his where he was just playing around Khuli Chana, Tasada, man. Okay. It was a very explicit. Yeah, it was a very it was a very triple X, PG-13 type verse.
Okay. Okay.
But in the verse, he was imitating a girl talking to him.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Khuli Chana, Tasada, So, so this was a really funny verse, and we loved it.
Sure.
Whenever we were out having a good time, drunk, whatever, it would start. Right? These funny verses would start. So it was one of those. So this name came from
that.
And Kuli's had the weirdest nicknames in the crew, but I'm not gonna mention it.
So what was his rap name before Khuli Chana?
Yo, Kuli has been. Okay, let me talk about myself first because like I'm putting him on blast.
Yeah.
I probably had the wackest rapper name beginning because I was too cool. Too cool.
Oh snap.
And Mr. Mo Mulimi was too funky. And then I don't know, we had a third member and we were cool, funky, fresh, something like that. And
Yeah,
then
y'all bumped them niggas.
right?
You know,
right? We 80s rap kids. LL Cool J.
The influence
That's
is
why,
strong.
Listen to the
Yeah.
names, bro. Towdeemac is a very 80s name. Right?
It is.
And because in the 80s everybody had a surname, you know, LL Cool J,
Yeah.
you know, Rakim Allah,
Yeah.
you know, Cool G Rap, you know.
You couldn't just be.
Yeah, you couldn't just
I
be,
feel you.
Nasty Nas, you know, before they went down to just one name, was before they Facebooked themselves, you know.
No way.
But, you know, around those years, we would pick some of the weirdest names. Kuli was Mysterio at some point. You remember Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kuli called himself Mysterio.
Oh man.
Right? And he was mysterious, actually. Like, you couldn't, you know, so it
I
banged,
can't
you know?
see it.
I forget.
What are you rhyming
KG.
about?
I forget who KG was, but KG also had like a had a TV game sounding name, like, you know, Xbox. Like. From Too Cool, I was Total Blast.
Damn, dog.
Total Blast. From Total Blast, then Towdeemac. You can hear how it.
Yeah.
But like I got the name Towdeemac from my mom, because she had visited the States, and that was when Criss Cross had just come out, so she brought back the tape, and because I was already calling myself Total Blast, she came back with this tape, and it was Daddy Mac and Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
So she would say Towdeemac, you know. So I kind of picked it. I was like,
Yeah, yo,
hey.
that's nice.
She said it dissing, but I was like, hey, I'm going to take that. Because I was already trying to rap at the point. You know?
Oh, yeah.
We were already like, Relibo Mayoma, man. So I remember I used to take tape decks, record. I had an instrumental here, record my voice. Okay, take that tape out, put that tape in there, put a fresh tape in there, record over my voice. That's how you did it,
Yeah.
like, you know? And that's how we used to record back then. So you used to have a stack of tapes because every tape was like a track, you know? Yeah, and if you made a mistake, you had to rewind and start from scratch. You know? So when the softwares came, that was just so much easier for us because it was like, oh, we could relate it to the process, you know? Unlike somebody who's just learning this thing afresh, this concept afresh, right? And that's another thing that actually got me interested in just learning the inner makings of all these things. And by the time we started working with Zondi Chakani, may his soul rest in peace, DJ Zondi, he's the guy that got me into the IT, into the technology of things, you know, because he was an IT technician himself. So he got me into like the computer, understanding what the computer is, and you know what's a motherboard, what's the hard drive, what is this, you know?
Sure.
And how software communicates with hardware, and you know, so that also kind of birthed in me a new inquisitiveness.
So now I want you onto or the timeline of when these things.
Okay, so because I'm jumping back and forth the timeline, right? Because I mean the Kuli story, us tricking Kuli into doing his first solo, that was around 2008.
Okay.
You know, because we were still touring as Morafe.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we still, Hey man, can you believe it's amazing, man. Almost 20 years later, and we still get booked as Morafe.
Mm.
And we haven't dropped in almost 20 years. How many other people
I
can you
mean,
say?
is that gonna change? Or those years just gonna keep climbing?
No, no, definitely. I can say without a doubt that yeah, it's changing. It's changed.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
already
That's
it's no longer even a
look.
if or
I'm gonna say it like it is, dog. Like now with this whole hash one situation,
yeah.
like through the
And
years,
you guys are part to blame, you know.
yeah, and I'm
When you guys
glad.
dropped Tenasu, let me tell you, Tenasu kind of woke up. Stone is working on the album right now.
away.
Um, Tenasu is the most. I think it's one of the most important things to happen to Motswako, you know,
Mm.
in this era of it, because like we just been saying earlier, you know, times are changing,
Mm.
and we are just praying that we're going back to a creative time.
Mm.
We're going back to a time when we can trust crafters to bring something that we've never seen before.
Mm.
You know, because, hey man, you know, it's difficult to create in this sonic climate,
Yeah.
you know, where everything is just the
It's the
same.
same
Like, it's
thing
like,
over and over.
you know, when you see those hypnotic circles,
Sure.
you know, like, yeah, it feels like we've been in that for quite a while.
Yeah.
But thanks to real artists, you know, who are coming out
Mm.
and making real music and influencing a new wave of, okay, we back to making music now.
Away. And I think that kind of energy brings back the competitive edge, right? In the sense that if I sound like you, it's easy for me to say, yo, I'm better than this guy.
Yeah.
I ain't even gonna bother, right? But when the creative worlds are so far apart and everybody's dope in their own right, in their own lane, in their own um, sound and whatever, it brings in that curiosity, like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Like,
Yeah, and
and
I think
I wanna elevate what I'm doing, not to emulate whatever I'm hearing, but to say like, yo, I need to tap in because clearly these niggas are tapping in. You know what I
but
mean?
here's another way to look at it. When when you know you're being original and you know you're going for your pocket and your corner,
Mhm.
um, it's kind of self-defeating to place yourself in a position of competition with anyone,
I feel you.
right? Because if you're in a competition, then you really should be focused on the influencer side of things, the the follows, you know, the
I feel you. I
likes.
feel you.
You know, you should be focused on that. You should be
Yeah.
focused on the drip. You should be focused on the parties you are seen at.
Hmm.
You know, the people you're seen with. That if you want to play the popularity game,
Sure.
cool. There are people who play it and play it well.
Yeah.
You know. But then there's this pocket of people who are just crafters, right?
Mm.
And there's popularity amongst them too. There's a popularity game amongst them too, right? I'll give you an example. Uh, a rapper like Rhapsody, for you know the woman rappers,
Mm.
and maybe somebody like J. Cole
Mm.
for the male rappers. These two rappers I'm singling out to say there is competition even on this side,
Mm.
right?
100%.
Because now all the girls that are not trying to, you know, twerk and be half naked and all that,
Hmm.
all the girls that are trying to Lauryn Hill it, that's their benchmark.
Sure.
All the guys that are not trying to Lil Yachi it,
That's their
Cole is
benchmark.
their benchmark, right? So you see how I'm separating the two without saying one is better than the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying hey, there's a space for this guy. There's a space in the game for Lil Yachi. There's a space in the game for J. Cole. But now, coming back to the perspective of the African rapper, you are in the most opportune spot because you have something to teach the world. Lil Yachi has an excuse. You know, I call him Yachi. I know it's Yadi, right? But I say Yachi just to be funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I do the same thing, bro.
You know, I say Yachi because I'm an old head. Like, you see the gray hair. You know, I'm not trying to
You sure what Allah?
I'm just exposing my age. But yeah, you know, he has a place here, right?
Oh, yeah.
And those of us, you know, or I'm saying in the game, if those of us who are more about the craft and, you know, South African and African rappers and writers, we need to be more concerned about what stories we're telling, you know? Because what Busta Rhymes had to say to TK, to Madlera was, yo, man, I love how you're telling your people's story. And you're not even making it unrelatable to us because, you know, you got the slang in there.
Yeah.
You are making us realize that you are this guy, just that side.
Word.
And you throwing in things that we can't even say this side.
Oh, yeah.
And imagery that we you know, we can't give that side and explain that side and the way he explains it. So that kind of shows you that the African rapper has a responsibility because your mud is your gold.
Which brings me to the question, yeah. I don't want to say the state of hip hop in SA, but the authentic stories
Yeah.
that could be told
Yeah.
that are not told by enough artists.
Um,
Like how do you?
I have a saying, your mud is your gold. You know?
Word.
Those things that you're ashamed of, those things that, you know, you don't think are so great about yourself or you know, those things that you take for granted. That's your gold, man.
Yeah.
Those are the things you should be flaunting. I was telling somebody the other day, Madlera, you know, has been appearing on, you know, video. He's on videos, right? Flashy, his cars, his this, his that. But the one time he appears in a crawl with cattle, Busta Rhymes and Swiss Beats
Jump on it.
right? Because that backdrop can't be found where they at, just readily like that. And the stories he's telling, you know, he's bringing them in, like how they brought us into their hood
Their world,
by
yeah.
telling their stories. That's what he's doing, and that's what they appreciate, right? So you see the African rapper and the African writer has an important story to tell because the world has been lied to about Africa. So what are you doing talking about all this other nonsense when there's all this information to give? Just look around you.
I feel you.
Yeah, why lie? Just tell it like it is. Look around you and tell it like it is because the world
sometimes
wants to know and needs to know.
Sometimes it feels like I'm hating, you know. Like I don't consider myself a youngster, but I don't consider myself an old head either, right?
Yeah.
I'm like stuck right in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm able to tap into both sides of the conversation.
Yeah.
Whether I relate to the youngins, I don't know what to call it, but I get it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's like the shit that I've done and the shit that I've learned, I was unlucky that I learned it at an older age,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In terms of navigating my craft and the shit I want to say and how to improve my pen game and,
Yeah.
you know, so niggas can respond to my shit,
Yeah.
right? I feel like these youngsters are caught in a pocket that is like, it's very limiting. You know, if you're trying to, because now Khate, it's a young man's game. And I honestly don't feel like rap is a young man's game.
Yeah, no.
The OGs here, I feel like we need more
Let me
of a
correct that
voice.
statement.
You know?
Music is a young man's game, Rap, however, is an old souls game
Word.
because that's why young rappers, like when Nas was still young
Mm-hmm.
and he was rapping like an old soul back there, that's why he was hailed, right?
Word.
Madera,
Mm.
from a young kid, he's been rapping like this,
Mm.
like an old dude, you know? An old, like, rap is an old souls game.
Mm.
You can be young, you can be old, but you need to have an old soul because
Mm.
rap is for those who can take. In fact, I'm gonna read you something because this young boy that I'm mentoring, Young Suave, was good. Young Suave, big up.
Away.
I'm mentoring Young Suave, and he asked me a question just this morning. I want to find it. Yeah, there it is. So he wanted to know, yo, Uncle Toady, is there a checklist for rap so that after I write a rap, I can tick the boxes?
Word.
Right?
That's a good question. That's a nigga who's trying to get better.
Dope. This is dope, right? So here's my response to him. Well, first of all, rap is poetry.
Mm.
The only difference is that the poetry of rap is symmetrical and employs a broader spectrum of skills than spoken word, which is unabated by rhythm and symmetry, right? And by that I mean, if it's just poetry, then it's not confined by rhythm, you know?
Sure.
You can pause whenever you want to pause. You don't have to rhyme all the time. You don't have to have symmetry in your rhyme scheme, right? When we realize that rap and poetry, or rap is poetry designed within the confinement of a beat,
Mm.
we also realize at the same time that all the rules of poetry, along with some of the extra rules of rhythmic sequencing, will simultaneously apply,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we realize that the rules of poetry, along with other rules that have to do with staying within the beat and having symmetry within your rhyme scheme, apply on top of the rules of poetry, the natural rules of poetry, right? So this would then mean that rap must make both rhythmic and lyrical sense to the mind, and so you must tick the following boxes. Now I'm giving him the boxes to tick. Three boxes to tick.
Okay.
Box number one, symmetrical rhyme scheme, right? You can have creative freedom. Creative freedom is granted provided it's intelligible. Don't just be all over the place and say, yeah, I'm trying to be different. That's not going to work. You know? Number two, comprehensive, quotable, and charismatic content. You have to be able to understand it. I have to want to say it after you've said it. It has to be quotable, right? And it has to be charismatic. It has to have some sort of lifestyle. You know, it has to tell me how you dress, how you would stand, where you chill. You know, and then the third box is delivery, and that equals to personality, flair, and finesse. Basically, you work hard to get it right, then you make all that hard work look easy. At presentation.
Yeah, this. See, that's the type of shit I should have known when I was writing
But
Bupologolo and all of that.
but Tony is a teacher by nature.
By nature, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, every time, and this is every time.
Yeah.
We always have to walk away with something. You think
I
about
mean, it's like when
the whole week on something.
when we took the drive down to May for the Tanasu launch, right?
Yeah.
And we were bumping Tanasu on the way.
That was a dope road trip.
That was dope. You know, I was lit. And I asked him what you thought of the mixing, like what you thought of the album, but more the mixing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you're the first person I told that I mixed that project.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you said to me you did a lot of things wrong, but in the right ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought about that shit for a while. Like I went and actually listened to the project, and I started finding all the wrong things,
Yeah.
but how they worked,
Yeah.
right?
Because your ear was disciplined anyway.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being aware of all those wrong things now has elevated the way I approach a mix now, right? Some of them I'll do them intentionally, like, yeah, I still
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
my thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
muddiness is intentional
Yeah.
sometimes, you know. But the way you put it, because I didn't know what I was doing, bro.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
clearly I did, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people that believe some of the demo versions of songs are better than the album versions.
What?
80% of the time it's like that. The whole thing Skarasa was saying, I am Morafe, the one that blew up in the streets is the demo version.
Mm.
When people bought the album and heard the one on the album, they came back saying, nah, that's not the one.
It's not the one.
They like the one they have on the bootleg.
Sure, that's the one they bump.
That's the one that's bumping. You know, because I wasn't a mixing engineer at the time. I was just using my ear and I knew what I wanted to get out of the speakers. And I used every trick I could find to do that. If I go back and look at that session now, I'd be disgusted.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not ready to do also is like let people look at my sessions,
Yeah.
be like, yo, I get tuned out. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, lately, actually, I have a new exercise that I do. You know, I go back to my old sessions and I just clean up. You know, and actually, that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, how often do we go back? You know, and repurpose music, verses,
But
hooks,
I do that all the time, bro.
right? Lines from
Yeah.
other verses.
Yeah.
You know, lines from hooks, creating hooks from verses.
From verses, yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
I took Kuli's verse from Dikota
yeah.
and I chopped it up, made a hook of it.
And then rhythm also is
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that comes from that moment of just going back and seeing what was happening.
I think, I mean, if you look at how Keddy, you know King Keddy, he's how he makes art,
Yeah.
right? Yo, I'm inspired by this new Madiba portrait
Yes, I saw that yesterday.
he just made, you know? And for me, a Madiba portrait has such a deep meaning because in my own mental slang, a Madiba portrait is money. Because our money is Madiba portraits, right? And you know, just that level of importance cutting across all cultures, right? And at a time where the one icon figure that was supposed to be the pride of the South African child is now being dragged through the mud and being called a sellout or whatever. You know, that sort of thing, you can't look at it at a position of is it true or not, whose narrative are you buying or whatever. It's a matter of what is it doing to the South African child that was supposed to be proud of that part of this country's history, which is the only good thing. You know, if we erase the goodness of that,
You're making me question my identity in essence.
then that's why you can't question why these kids nowadays don't respect elders when they see what we see, what they see happens in Parliament. You know, because elders talk to each other like this. You know,
Why should
and do
have-
this and
yeah.
behave this way, and you know, say this about each other on social media, and you know, and how are kids supposed to respect us, right? Some of our age mates are dating our kids now.
Crazy.
We got teenagers now. So how does my daughter respect me if a dude that's my age mate is looking at her like a suitor? Right? So that's why I'm saying, man, the rapper has a lot
of
work
responsibility,
to do. We've
bro.
got a lot of responsibility.
And that's my thing with like local hip hop. I feel like there's so much potential. There's this dude who goes around Bram asking guys who's your favorite rapper, and he stumbled upon the dude who was wilding on my clever.
Yeah.
And I check out that guy's content a lot. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
And he'll ask guys, who's your favorite rapper, right? And why? Like, and that's where it gets me. It's like,
Right?
why? What
That-
did he
that-
say? Like, what song?
Can we
What
just-
bar? And
can we-
niggas can't tell you.
Can
So,
we just chill on that question?
no,
Who's your favorite rapper and why? Do you see that question to begin with kind of validates our statement that rap has a big responsibility because somebody's gonna ask you
Why?
who's your favorite rapper and why, and they'll be able to tell what kind of person you are
Yeah.
because of who's your favorite rapper and why. Why?
why? Why do you fuck with
Because
this nigga?
I mean, any other music genre, you don't listen to for that kind of mental connection or psychological connection. You know? Yeah, sure, there are, genres. I mean, you get struggle songs, you get people that do Afro pop that focuses on social commentary.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
half the time
I'm about to
you-
say, right? Rappers need to listen to Masandi because Masandi writers, Masandi lyricists are very tuned in to the community. Those guys, the way they write and the way they communicate and the way they tell social commentary is so creative. If rap could borrow that from them, like just lines, quotables. When I'm talking about quotables, hey,
bro.
Maskandi has quotables for days, bro. Because remember Van Damme, Joe. And this is social commentary, right? That song blew up because here's the thing: there's always a bully in the hood, and it's Mitza Van Damme, And this is a song about Hovota, Joe. I'm tired of this dude, man. Come with me. I wrote in a laugh and today And anybody who's been in that situation will immediately
No, like, yep.
get attached,
Yeah.
right? But rappers are too cool for the taxi rank.
Yeah.
I always say rappers are too cool for the taxi rank, dog. And even in the literal sense, a rapper won't catch himself dead rapping for people at a taxi rank or in a taxi.
I'd rather be in Sentin.
I'd rather be in Sentin acting like, come on, man.
True.
Spending my last bit of money just to look like I have it all the time. That's what are you teaching the next generation?
100%. 100%. And that's my thing, man. That's what I'm trying to drive into. These young niggas, when I talk to them, it's like, yo, bro, like, it's a pen game, my nigga, pen game. Like, like in a loss we say, right? But sometimes that shit gets tiring.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the other day I put out that do some joint. It's not a complex joint. It's get up and do some.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
it
it can be that simple, right?
there's a song-
But it affects somebody in a way that it's like, yo, I felt it.
Yes.
I felt it.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be complex. And I think in an era where we're looking at both J. Cole and Kendrick and these complex, super dope writers, and everybody is ready to dissect how the triple entendre, quadruple.
Simplicity is king, man.
We don't need to all be doing that. That doesn't make you any
Just be smart.
better or worse than anybody else.
Just
but
be witty.
yeah,
Just have wit. Just be smart. You don't have to cram too much. Just be witty. And
my
I think of
days.
a song by, I think it's Jonah Trading, True Love. One of the first, I think the first line on the song, she says, poverty can be romantic. In black and white, it looks like art.
Dang.
Like,
I
yeah,
can see it.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're sitting in poverty, you don't see the art in it. But a photographer from London passing by can take a picture of you sitting there on your pile of rubble. And that picture can go for millions back in London.
That's heavy.
Poverty can be romantic. In black and white, it looks like art. So if you're that kid sitting there, you own the backdrop. You are the photograph.
Mm.
And the moment you realize you don't have to consent to that photographer taking that picture of you, you got power. Because now it's your hardware that's going to be taking those pictures. You know. And when we, the only way to empower the African child is to show them the means of production and to give them ways to acquire and keep and reserve the means of production. The means by which they make whatever they make or they create whatever they create. Let a painter own his own brush, and that's the only way that we're gonna change the economy to
I feel you.
that'll serve.
Yo, it got deep. I'm gonna take it to a lighter note. That was hectic. That was dope.
Yeah, but we were talking about repurposing art, right? Repurposing, especially lyrics. Let's talk about lyrics because
And segueing into that,
yeah,
right? Our list. You were quick to be like, nah, niggas, I'm on beat, right? And I want you to kind of break it down how we got it wrong.
Oh, you got what wrong?
The list, our top 50.
Oh, the top 50.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we got a lot of smoke, and it can be relative to you because you felt like we put you
the
up.
top 50 list. First of all, I'm not used to being on anybody's list,
Sure.
So it came as a shock. But when I looked through it, I was like, what are we judging here? What's the criteria? Because there are people that I feel like, people like to separate the accolades and the fame, the followers, the popularity, from the art. I think the popularity is part of the art, right? It's how you present it. Think about it like an assignment at school. And I just got all the points right, but my presentation was just in bullet points and it was just, a Word document. But let's say if you had done it like me, you could have gotten 5 marks less than me. But because you went and used PowerPoint and it was this slideshow and there were visual aids and everything, you got extra marks for effort. Right? That's because presentation is everything. When you go to market, when I was teaching and I would give an assignment, say to go and produce a song in a particular way, I would give more marks for presentation even if you got most of the instructions wrong. Because I'm preparing you for the industry. And in the industry, presentation is everything regardless of what you got wrong. Coming back to your mixing.
Yeah.
Presentation was everything regardless of what you got wrong. How you presented it was all that mattered. And it was well presented. It was well packaged, right? So it's the same way for us, man. Look, I'll say those guys that are more popular, those guys that have captured more hearts, whether or not there was an engine propelling them to do so, how they took advantage of that also is part of their art.
Mm.
Because I know a lot of people that got similar opportunities that never made it as far as they did. So that means there's still a part of you that still has to make that interview a success and make that encounter with those guys a success. And,
Mm.
and because everywhere you go in the industry, especially after you're signed, you've been tested.
True.
You get called for a TV interview. How late or early you come is noted.
Yeah.
How you carry yourself before you go on screen is noted.
Our
So
Kumel or we
yeah,
Mm.
so that's why some artists that were signed to big labels and then you wonder how this guy was signed to a whole this that, and he was given all these and he was given time to chill with so and so. How come? It's how you carried yourself in those corridors.
It's not necessarily your talents or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's how you carried yourself in those corridors. Because somebody else can be given half the opportunities and then boom.
Mm.
So also how we judge success from this side of the camera, from this side of the screen is very different from how it feels on the other side.
What?
Most people we see as successful probably where they at feel like they're not even halfway. And most people that we feel aren't anywhere are quite content with where they are.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I'm one of those people. so it's like when I look at the list, I'm one of those guys that look at it and say, hey man, come on.
Mm.
That guy, the kids know that guy more than they know me. The kids are going to ask, who's that guy?
Who's this G?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would hurt me more than if you didn't put me on the list at all.
Mm.
You get what I mean? When the eye that was intended for that questions that.
Word. And I think that was the biggest learning for us, right?
Yeah.
Because we try to put ourselves out of it, like our personal feelings, but it
That one was
all muddied.
personal.
No, that one was definitely personal, right? I mean, we're avid Motswako
Yeah.
fans, bro.
Yeah.
So it was only natural for us to
But I think
to
it's good to
levitate
have
towards that, right?
Motsoko charts. I think we should have a monthly Motsoko chart.
100%.
And the criteria must be along the lines of how much noise are you making in your own hometown and against how much noise are you making outside of your hometown, say just in the Northwest. Are you making any noise outside of the Northwest and where? And, are you pushing to gig outside of just your hometown? Things like that. Things that will encourage guys to do the right thing. So the
Right.
criteria should be everything that you need to do to get yourself out there. How often are you posting?
I think it would be dope to add an
Because
incentive to that with
we don't look at how many followers you have. We look at how much work you putting in.
putting in. Yeah.
Because we can look at, okay, this guy has 20 followers, but he gained these 20 followers in the past 2 weeks when he was pushing this. He's more likely to go up in the charts because it's about his activity. His graph is looking good,
It's looking
even
good.
though his numbers are low. And then you have a guy who has 20,000 followers, but he hasn't posted since January. His graph is up there, but it's looking like this. You get what I mean? So we judge the trajectory.
And but those 20,000 followers forgot that they're following you.
So if we are ever to have a chart, Yamotsako, I would like for it to be on that criteria. I would like for it to be about whether you're unsigned or not, are you pushing in a visible way? Where you going, where you knocking on doors, and do you come back on social media and say, yo, I went wherever today. It was unsuccessful, but I'm still pushing. That will also count.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
I
Because
feel that.
it has to be something that encourages somebody to get up, get out, and get themselves out there.
And do
Do some. Get up, do some.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
You know, and that's where reinventing yourself and your craft and your works comes in.
I feel that.
Always rework your stuff. Always, pick up where you left off. Always. Sometimes you're working on a song and you don't feel it and you leave it.
And then
There's a lot of those sessions.
a year
But
later,
a couple years or a year later, you come back to it and you're like, okay, if I take this away and that, this
bro,
part
that's
here-
exactly payday, right?
for real.
That those verses we did a series during lockdown. What did we call it, Mix?
Was payday.
Payday freestyle. So on every payday, one of us drops a freestyle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I was going back and I was trying to, bring back the whole payday
Yeah, yeah.
freestyles kind of vibe, right? And we did a remix of A1's joint, Float.
yeah,
And we had all recorded on that joint.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to do a full length joint with him, new verse, but then something happened, whatever, the dramayan. And we parked it. But we released those verses as individual
yeah,
snippets on our
yeah.
own social media.
yeah.
And that day I was like, nah, these verses are slapping.
Right?
These niggas didn't even know,
what
Maji.
I mean?
They had no idea. And I got the BPM and I went hunting for a beat. And I found a beat and I just went, pat. And they sat in a different pocket.
Yeah,
But
they
that
said,
pocket was
yeah.
just, I was like, yo, this is
You
nuts.
see, it's funny you mentioned pocket,
Yeah.
right? That technique that I was talking about, I call it the pocket finder, right?
Yeah.
So, and a verse, here's a technique that I like to use when I'm mentoring a rapper that's developing as a rapper. Right?
Sure.
You write a verse, and then I give you 3 separate starting points on the same beat that will switch the flow. Because if you started at this point,
Yeah, you gotta, yeah.
it switches the flow. You started at this point, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I had you write it in a particular way so that the rhymes don't fall off,
Mhm.
right? And I make you realize that you can always, through that exercise, I make you realize that you can always revisit a verse and place it on a whole new song and make it sound like a new
Completely
verse
different.
because you just started at a different point.
And I mean, when I started writing, I most of the time didn't write to beats. I'd just write verses.
Yeah.
And what would happen is, no matter what beat is played, no matter what BPM, what swing, what vibe, whatever, I could pull any verse at any time and it's always gonna work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's no structure
Mm.
to the verse.
Yeah.
I just know that this amount of words is 8 bars.
Oh, no.
Right? This amount of words is 16.
Oh, no.
You know?
I
Yeah.
but you see the difference with Nasi is that when you hear Nasi a cappella,
Mm.
it's like he's talking shit.
Yeah, right? He needs to be on a beat because I'm thinking about it now, like, no ways.
But how
You can't say this many words is an 8 bar. You're
but,
going to miss
but
it.
at the same time,
He gets it right.
yes, it's still within a pocket.
No, you know why?
Pocket,
I think the count is in his head.
Yes.
So
even
the
when
one,
he starts,
two,
when he ends,
three,
how
four.
he takes a breath.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. With me, I knew the counting from a young age. So
Yeah.
what you were saying, the 1, 2, 3,
Sure.
4,
Yeah.
all of that, right? So even on a book or in my phone, you'll see it's 4 lines.
Yes.
4 lines.
Yeah.
4
Stanzas.
lines. Some
Yeah.
lines are longer than others.
Yeah.
Some are shorter than others.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where
It's
the
the flow,
rhymes
it's
are-
where, yeah.
So just like how you were saying with the capital letters,
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
I counted on 4 when I know, okay, I've got 16 bars to do. 4, 4, 4, 4.
Yeah.
Those, and then after that it's a whole puzzle.
Mm.
You know.
Then you move it around
move
until
it
it
around
makes
to
sense.
be, that first line will be the last.
Yeah.
The middle one will be the last.
Yeah.
This, that,
Yeah.
Yeah, like I get frustrated when I'll do a verse, right? And then you're like, I love the beginning, but the middle, and then yeah, the end is dope, but the middle. I'm like, I ain't changing the middle.
Why?
I'ma scrap the whole verse, nigga. I'ma write a new verse. Cause I don't write like
He's a
that.
painter. Okay,
I
let me
start from
yeah.
the beginning and
I
you know what I
understand.
mean?
Let me explain it like this. You're a sculptor. He's a painter. So you're able to take a block and chip it off until you create something out of it.
Mm.
He starts with a clean canvas
Mm.
and starts drawing from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? These techniques are also used. They're named the same way in terms of making music or making beats.
Mm.
You can make a song from intro, like I said, country music. You know, you can paint a song from okay, this is how it's gonna start, and then this will be the verse, and then this will be the chorus, and then we'll go back to. You see, they paint it like that going along. But a sculptured beat would be getting like how we all make beats, getting everything all in one, and then copy paste, and then create.
Taking stuff away, yeah.
Sculpting, Right?
And for me
There's no wrong way or right way.
Yeah.
It's just two different techniques.
Word.
But here's another one. Sanji, right?
That guy doesn't write.
he doesn't write. Look,
Guys, Sanji doesn't write.
No, let me tell you.
That guy's rhymes are so complex. I don't understand
How
how
he
he
does
doesn't
it.
write.
Hear this one. We're talking in terms of revisiting a verse. The Piloyame verse.
Mm.
His one on the Piloyame that we know that
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's this is more
Yeah.
than your
Ordinary.
verse.
Yeah.
But the original verse
Yeah.
was a whole different flow.
Completely.
But same words.
Same words.
But the flow was different. I remember I was like,
But like, what the fuck's going on, bro?
and about it and all of that. So you see, that's the difference between we can write on paper, no beat, don't matter,
Sure.
right? But the pocket,
Yeah.
it's written in a way that it can fit in any beat. But Sanji,
Sanji, you never know what it's gonna sound like. You never know.
Like, no, this flow doesn't work.
With this beat.
Guys.
We're like, it works, dog.
You
Just
won't rewrite the verse.
You'll
Sanji is like the old dirty bastard of Heshwan.
sure.
You know, God bless his life. Like Sungula, like I always say, I study that guy with scholars, man.
Yeah.
You know, the way when he's kicking in Setswana, you might think this guy is quite a story. And then he switches to English, and then he says something that makes you pause and say, "Whoa, did you hear what he just said?" And then he makes you realize that Tswana part was also just as deep.
Yeah.
So you need to go back.
And play the whole thing. Like it all goes together.
That's how you listen to Sanji.
Sanji's
If you
wild,
really
man.
want to hear him. You always realize at the end of the verse that he was on point the whole time.
Yeah. He's very intentional about
And-
everything
and-
he says.
Hey, man, I like how he can lose you and pick you right back up.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that.
I
Like,
get it exactly. I think one of the best verses to explain that with is his champagne what freestyle.
Yes.
That verse where he's like something about Lamoni stuck at a traffic light, fuck a menstrual cycle, I'm going in, period. Then he's like, why you connecting the dots? I'm adding more like ellipses.
yes.
I'm like, nigga, I'm still back there.
I'm still at the traffic light. Nigga, I'm still at the stoplight.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm like, yo.
So I like rappers like that. You know, Fonte, for example. Fonte, he calls it the 2x4 flow.
Sure,
You know?
sure.
He'll come at you, and then the third line you'll think he missed the rhyme scheme, but he's just bringing it back on the fourth. He's just
Yeah,
flying
yeah,
by
yeah.
the third, 2x4, right? So that dude, like,
It's funny that you mentioned Fonte because that's where Jigi's at. Like that's his
no,
that's his guy.
like yeah, like Fonte. I reference Fonte because when I listen to Sungula, when I listen to Sanji, I'm like, I know these patterns
Mm.
because I'm a big Fonte fan. So I know these patterns. I know that thing of making you think I didn't quite get the rhyme, and then you realize in the next line that I did that on purpose.
Word.
That's Fonte,
Yeah, nah. That's elite, man. That's elite.
right?
That's
But
elite.
now, cats that write like that, they can't repurpose like you and me. Because the moment they take it onto another beat, it's like you said.
It's something else.
It's something
It's something
totally
completely different.
right? And that's, I guess, another way of repurposing the verse.
Mm.
You
And
know?
to be fair, Sanji will like a lot of the time when we have to change beats for certain songs, his verses do change.
When
you
the
know,
beat changes.
when the beat changes, like majority of the verse will be the same, but because you'll end up just naturally like, nah, I can say
Yeah.
this better with this
Yeah.
pocket. I
Yeah.
can say this differently. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But yeah, for me, one of the greatest rappers in SA,
Right?
Sanji.
Yeah, Sanji.
You know,
No doubt. No
you know.
doubt.
But yeah, man. Before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
your top five. I would for
Top
you. I
five
want to
what?
switch it. I want to switch it. Top five
Top five what?
SA rappers that are coming up that are on your
rappers
radar.
trying to mess with my affiliations out here. This nigga.
You know, that are on your radar that you feel like
I'm a
they're gonna be doing
ghostwriter, man.
something.
You trying to mess with my publishing check?
You know, what about putting niggas on, man? Finding new artists, finding new music. So, who do you think deserves to be checked out?
Hey, you know, we talk a lot about this dude, but people are still sleeping on him. VX Tuna Spine.
Mm-hmm.
This guy from Porch. He's the freshest. You know, when you listen to him, it's like you remember how Lil Wayne used to hit you.
Yeah.
You know, back in the early 2000s and back in the teen.
Sure.
Yeah, like 2010 onwards,
Sure.
actually. Yeah, 2010 onwards. Around right after Amele
Sure.
and onwards.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy was just punchlines galore.
Yeah.
That's VX Tuna Spine.
Oh snap.
A dude from
Yeah.
Porch. Please
Nah, I
check
know
him out.
VX.
Yeah, check out VX. And then there's this kid by the name of Suave. I'm personally mentoring him. Suave. He's doing his own thing. I'm just, you know, grooming him in terms of helping him define his style.
Oh wait.
You know, but he's like a little Motsako Kendrick. I'm grooming a pit bull there. Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah. And then you know, the girls, man. There's a girl in Meftown, Teddy T Saray.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, Teddy T. Just her push.
Oh wait.
You know?
She's been coming up on my timeline a lot.
Yeah, just her push. I'm not gonna say she's the best rapper female that I've heard. Kokasi, but I'm gonna single her out because of her push. She has a
doing,
mean sense of push. She's gonna get somewhere, definitely.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Shout her out.
Man, there's this dude, Huey, in Flagstop. He's a producer.
I've heard of you.
Huey Ozale, yeah.
Yeah.
That boy, he's got something.
Mm.
You know, he's pushing a gang with the boys called the Bullet Mafia. I think, yeah, Bullet Mafia. Or Bullet Mob.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bullet Mob or Bullet Mafia, please look it up.
Batla
Yeah, look it up. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for that crew. They've got K9 in there.
Okay.
You know, the Lebanese rapper from Klerksdorp.
Yeah, yeah.
He's dope. He's dope purely as a rapper.
Mm.
They've got other members in the crew. There's another kid in
You know, you
Klerksdorp.
said K9. Immediately I went to Werewolf
Yeah,
K9,
I know. I
Denville.
had to explain. There's another kid. There's a duo in Klerksdorp actually. It's a DJ, and just I'd like to uh, just describe him as a crowd rocker. Yeah, man. Like these are
Ba mo
places.
adoptile, dog.
These
Ba
are
mo
places
adoptile.
these are places I where I find myself finding talent. You know, Meftown has a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
Poch also has a lot of talent. There's a dude. You know what, ne? I'm not talking about only rappers. That's why I'm like I'm looking at how people push. There's a guy in Poch by the Soxmatics, right?
Okay.
You probably know the name Soxmatics, right? Well, you should, because that guy is push, man, and he pushes others in his hood, you know, not just himself. He started a whole movement, Dago Poch. Yeah, man, it's just I don't know. Off the top of my head, there's so many. Notsi, you know, Notsi could come out of a corner that we are not expecting, you know, because also he's just, you know, his craft, you know.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy. And if you've seen him on stage, you
Yeah.
know, his sense of push as well. If you've seen him on stage, Nji, like
You understand?
yeah, you get like guys that do that on stage are bound to get somewhere.
Nah, I feel
You
you.
know, how far am I so far?
Nah,
I'm
you're
on
like
3, I think.
8.
Rustenberg. Broke boy, rich man.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a kid by the name of Wako Puking, broke boy, rich man from Puking, from the surrounding Kasista Puking. That kid is something to look up. Lene, just his push, you know.
Yeah.
And lyrically, he's also just growing. Uh, Mo Charisma is a producer to look out for from
Scave
Rustenburg.
beats, niggas.
Yeah,
Scave beats.
yeah,
You know.
Mo Charisma.
I got I
You gotta
got
get beats from Mo Charisma.
I got some that I'm working on and I'm gonna share with you. Is this joint I've been sitting on called Naughty West. And the hook goes, I'm like, no, Tswana like us. Naughty West. It's a fly joint, bro. And
That's dope.
I've always had
That's dope.
this idea of like doing a remix with dope cats from different parts of the Northwest,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm gonna jump on this list that you're giving us,
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm gonna hit niggas up and be like, yo,
there's dudes that are helping out Motswako without necessarily being rappers themselves. I mean, if you go to your Dr. Ruth side of Northwest, you're looking at guys like Bo McDuff. You know, you're looking at kind of who's this lady? I always forget her name, man. She's pushing Kaku, Dr. Ruth Kara. You know, there are people just helping artists out there. Sometimes it's not necessarily, you know, just
the artist.
the artist,
Yeah.
but you know, sometimes and I say in my backstage lectures, you don't need to, or we don't need to all be artists, DJs. You know, we need people around the game.
That can add value to it. Yeah.
We need people
Because I
around the
think
game.
the hardest thing is having to do everything yourself. I mean, I still have that struggle of like letting go of certain responsibilities.
Yeah.
Is tough because the person trying to help doesn't know what they're doing. So we need more people that know what they're doing in their respective fields to add value to artists. You know what I mean? Because yeah, man, it's important for the growth. Like
That's true.
it's very important for the
I'm
growth.
trying to find this lady, man. She helps artists out in Dr. Ruth. When I find her, I'll I'll send her name out to you guys.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, man.
But yeah, there's people looking out for artists out there, you know. And there's a guy called Hendy. He's also helping Mokankara out there, you know. Go Dr. Ruth. Pampirstad also has some dope cats. you know, Spike Boy, o tla o bolelela ka bone kara, you know, so yeah, man. But De La Reyville, they're artists. Hey, guys, honale, I think about him rapper Wadi Tobani, MWD. Like he's a rapper on crutches, right?
Sure.
We would classify him as disabled, but he doesn't think of himself
That
as
way.
disabled, you know. He says he's abled in a different way, and I like that, you know.
Dope.
He's a dope rapper. He's been rapping for a long time. Zakes MWD. Check that dude out. Check his videos out. He's
Oh,
somebody that I wish could just be given the right attention, you know.
I feel that.
Sugar Nice is their company. His manager is also, you know, I don't like words like paraplegic, and, you know, but they're also challenged in that way. But they're pushing way more than able-bodied guys. So, you know, there's those guys, and man, there's so much talent out there.
Nah, for real.
There's a
For
lot
real.
of talent.
But yeah, we gonna uncover all of that as we grow, man. Like we're trying to build something of our own, to have more conversations like this, you know what I mean? Away from complaining and putting people down, it's about uplifting and sharing information. So with that said, man, I appreciate you coming through. You
It's a
reaching
honor.
out actually to say you wanna come sit down and talk with y'all, man. That's what's up. Comedy Cast, Shot Madala, Lyricist of the Year 2020, man.
Kia leboha. It was I think it was on a top 10, one of Dumi's top 10s.
Yeah.
But I never made it to number 1.
Nah, you won Lyricist of the Year one time.
It was of the month. You remember they were doing
Oh,
the month? Yeah.
snap. They did
I
the
think
month
it was
thing.
1 November when Kloba Munati came out.
Oh,
And
snap,
of
yeah.
that year, Trilly took it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Trilly took the year. That's my boy, though. That's fam.
Yeah, he was fighting that year, though. He was coming strong.
That's fam. Yeah.
You know.
I have a couple joints with Trilly.
Yeah.
I should drop.
Nah, let's do best.
Interesting joint.
You know.
Yeah,
Now
man.
we'll keep you all clued up on what's coming next, man. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, what's up.
Big up.
Peace.
Trouble is, I can have my shank for this.